Welcome to the latest free webinar from GCT magazine. I'm your instructor and presenter, Corp Graham, and just to let you know, this is a 15-minute quick webinar, and if you want to get the full 1 hour and 15-minute webinar, you'll have to go to that link right below my name at globalcounterterror.com/I want to know a secret. Get the new GCT magazine newsletter and learn them all. You'll have to go to that link, fill in your name and email, and you'll immediately get a responding email, autoresponder email with the link to the direct path to the unlisted webinar that we have recorded for you. So if you want to get the full 1 hour and 15-minute, go over there right now. If not, you want to just check out what we're going to be talking about, let's go ahead. And so here we go, and we're going to start talking about how to become a human lie detector, how to be really good at detecting lies. And it first starts off with getting your own psychology clear and dealing with the stomach blocks that prevent people from being good lie detectors. And one of the things is that many people are just afraid of the truth. The truth for many people might not be nice and not be something that they really want to hear. You know, that's the reason people lie. People lie, there's the white lie, which is, you look great in that dress, or that color suits you, when really it's a flat-out lie, but it's a compliment, and because it's a compliment, that's actually taken as compared to say, you look horrible in that thing, and you shouldn't be putting that on. So people are afraid to use the truth, people are afraid to accept the truth. And in order to be in this ability to detect lies, you cannot put your own judgments on information, and you look at it just as information. And in a situation where you're trying to find out something, it's very different from being in a scenario where you're just being pleasant, etc. Unless you really want to find out about a person, like say you're interested in dating them or you're going to do business with them, you want to know more and more information. And if you're in a strict situation, of course, like a professional scenario where you're a military interrogator or you're in law enforcement, you need to find out the truth, and you'll find out that a lot of people who are good at it there's no goal oriented in whether the information goes one way or the other. All they want is to find out the veracity and the clarity and the viability of the information, whether it's true, and to discern from the lies that are being given what is the truth. And that brings up another issue of truth, and that is that never cut and dry, which is basically the idea that there are facts in the world, but it's when we're communicating with another person and trying to discern truths from lies, we also have to deal with the subjectivity of a person's dialogue or communication. And that's where a really good lie detector shines, and that is because you can look at the facts through the language of the subject as they give the information to you and how you get that information. And then other people might question, well, what's so important about getting as much of the truth as you can? Well, if it's just casual and there's not really that much importance, well, maybe not. But you'd still want to know who your friends are and who your friends are not. You'd also want to see what types of roles people can be in your life. And in a professional, again, you want to find out information because the information is not the end all. The information is just one of many steps towards achieving a victory or a goal, say in the military where you're going off and you're going to set up a campaign. You need that information. You need the counterintelligence. You need the ability to get information, grab the intelligence. You need to be able to make your decisions and set up your strategies based on the clarity of information that you have, of intelligence you get collected. So in that way, it's very important. And then when you're picking up information, it's the idea that the truth can be brutal. It's for people to look at somebody as they really are is very hard. I mean, that's why we have facades. Even the idea that women wear makeup and men wear toupees. That's covering the truth of a blonde man and maybe a woman who's not that attractive but can be taken up quite a few notches just by makeup. And when we take that all off, when we look at the person for who they are, for some people, they don't want to see that over and over and over again. But to be good at being able to detect lies, you got to be able to deal with that and accept people for who they are and work with that. And some of the best people who have worked as interrogators, actually in the military that I've interacted with, are very pleasant. They're very relaxed. They're very happy to interact with people. And they're not judgmental. They just look at the person. And they make their decisions later. They make their decisions on the in-depth aspect much later. But at that moment, if they're questioning somebody, they're talking to them in a manner that enables the person to keep on going. And if you become judgmental, you'll have your own tells back to the other person that will cause them to not want to talk and clam up. And that's the total opposite of what you're looking for. And again, honesty is really hard for a lot of people to take. And again, it's like the idea of being complimented when you're not really in something that the other person might interpret as attractive. It's like the death knell question in many relationships is, how do I look in this dress, honey, or how's this color on me? And of course you're going to say, God, you look great in that dress. You look great in that color. When factually it might be horrible. But who are you to say? Because the subject, the person who's asked you that, they feel good in it. And so you're not going to tell them the truth. You're going to tell them the lie that enables them to feel that much better about themselves. And that's a support, and that's how we use lies. I mean, it's brings us to the idea, that everyone lies, and I mean everyone. And the thing is that, think about if you were a person. I think the closest I've seen is kind of like Tourette's, or someone who's they just right off the top of the head, they just say whatever comes into their mind, and how hard it is for them to interact socially with people. And people who are really just so intense with that, these are the kind of people that you see in psychiatric wards. We deal with people based on the lies and truths that we give. The truths that we give in order to be open and connected with someone, to be accepted for who we are, and then the lies that we share with other people in order to achieve our goals of our class level or professional situation. This is how the world works. And the question is, how do you look at them, and how are you honest with yourself and looking at your own truths and lies that you share with other people? And the use of manipulation, because a lot of lies are used in manipulation. And how we also, when we're trying information, we have to use our language as a form of manipulation in order to get information out of people, and how we work with that. And that brings us back, and this doesn't really apply to, well, it applies in a professional military law enforcement scenarios, the separating the white lies from the harmful lies, or I call them the dangerous lies. The dangerous lies are the ones that, if you don't know about the minefield because you've just captured this bad guy, and he knows that there's a minefield and your whole team is going to be walking into this minefield, that's a dangerous lie. And information that could be gathered from this person quickly would prevent a lot of your own team from getting killed. And then we have the other ones, in just a normal day-to-day environment, whether we're trying to decide whether someone can be a deeper friend, or it could be a lover, or it could be a potential marriage mate. So it's the idea of looking who they are, and even when they do lie, why did they lie? What do they lie about? And those are the real important things to find out about people. And that's the separating again between white lies and harmful lies. Again, not being judgmental, looking at what's coming in and making your decisions, knowing the difference between being judgmental and being decisive. These are two very different things. You can use the ability of filtering in certain kinds of judgments, but to be judgmental is often confused for being decisive, kind of like in the way that arrogance can be confused for confidence. Knowing the difference between the two and using the ones which are the best. So we go into the master qualities of a lie detector, a human lie, someone who can really find out what's really up. And that's someone who's just non-judgmental. Information comes in, you take it in, you don't express any response, yay or nay, unless you're trying to gather more information, so you can actually incite them, get them to give you more information by your expressions. And the ability to egg them on, to get them just through your facial expressions, or just quick, like, oh really, that kind of ability, being open to all that information that comes in. And also, you got to be unafraid of leading an interaction. A lot of people in interactions are almost like waiting for the other person to speak. And in normal conversation, that's people who are very charismatic can be fantastic lie detectors, as long as they have a balance between getting people to open up and then actually listening to what they're saying. Some people are kind of like the life of the party. They're on all the time, and there's really no opportunity for them to get anything. But that quality of being able to get people to open up, whether they open up verbally or just their body expression and their direction, is a skill that enables people to lead an interaction. But then the other ability of being able to listen, and listening very clearly, that give and take, back and forth. And yet again, I reemphasize the idea of taking information in unfiltered. And as you take it in, interpret it quickly, because as you're interpreting it, not putting judgment on it, but being able to discern what's more information that you can use to get more information, and what is the information you've been given to get more information. And that goes back into another quality of someone who is really good at lie detection, is quick thinking. You're able to take some information in and put a response back if someone's lying, and get them to speak up further and more in depth. Because remember, lie detection is not based on just one or two tells. It's based on a whole number of pieces of information, whether that's the physiology of someone, it's the movements, the mannerisms, the facial expressions, the tone of voice, how they're going, how they're talking, all these things, how it shifts. When you're aware of this and you apply it to the actual dialogue that's being expressed, that's very quick thinking, and it's almost like a subconscious. And it's almost, that's why when we get into this, we get further in the idea that you train your ability to be aware, almost like a martial artist would look at training, because you're training your subconscious to do things that your conscious mind might not be able to pick up. I mean, the ability of the peripheral is just amazing, and your subconscious is just amazing in the duties that it can do. I mean, we normally use it like when we drive a car. So many things we do while we're paying attention and looking at the road is so much more powerful than the conscious mind can keep up to. Another part of having a quality is you can't be letting all your tells, what we call tells, which is your own indications going back to the other person, if they're not what you want to be going back. So that's that close to the chest ability of like poker players, is the idea that you don't let your expressions, your own tells, go out to the other person unless they're the ones that you're specifically wanting to use to get them to communicate further, to give you more information, or to clarify your information. So you want to be able to communicate, but only use the parts of yourself that you're wanting to, and keep all the other stuff that's peripheral that could tell them and enable them to start modifying their answers if they are lying and trying to put a smokescreen back on you. That you have to keep your own tells close to your chest. So as we go, we're going to be talking in the full webinar at 1 hour and 15 minutes. These are the types of information we'll be talking. Basically, be talking about your tools, all the tools that you have at your disposal. And that's your own education, your training, knowledge, eyes, ears, mouth, mind, gut instinct, your subconscious, and the environment. As we go in depth, you'll be learning about education, types of education, military, law enforcement, private sector, and how you use that education, and discerning between education and training, and how training incorporated with education is really important. And the difference between book learning and applied knowledge, which creates a full knowledge, which is education plus training, and really fine-tuning your ability to adjust rapidly to different environments, to different subjects. And then your wisdom. What is wisdom? It's part of knowledge, which is, it's the full kit and caboodle, which is, you've got your education, your training, and your experience, and it all comes together. And you can only get wisdom, of course, through real-life experiences and the interpretation of that real-life experiences, and how you play them out in the rest of your interactions. And we talk about your eyes and how, what you see and what you're paying attention to with your subject. And so there's so much stuff here listed, and of course there's no way we're going to get this in 15 minutes, but this is just give you a taste of what's available when you sign up for the newsletter. And you'll get your immediate link to go and listen and watch the full presentation on how to become a human lie detector. And your ears, we talk about your ears and how to listen properly. What are you listening to? You're listening to the person's voice. You're also making sure you're not filtering, and a bunch of other information on really listening and using your ears to pay attention to the subject. And sensory, but also communicating. Your questions: how do you speak yourself? How do you modify your personal presentation, your confidence, or in situations you might want to come off as lacking confidence. It's depending on how do you work with it. Your emotions, the congruency between yours, and also as you're speaking with them, listening to their congruency and how they respond back. And then there are aspects of your senses, the smells, odors that you might observe on the subject. I use the example of spouse's lover's perfume. That's one tell. And how do you use that? How do you go from there to get more information, to get clarity? And then odors, of course, other odors that might be left on a suspect who's committed a crime. And then the mind. How do you train your mind? How do you really purpose your mind towards this? Because it takes training, like everything else. It takes training and then application. And we go through that, and also how to use information that you're given in from the outside. For instance, files and records that a person might have either in the interrogation room or interview room. And then how to fine-tune your gut instinct, because again, we're going back to the ability, 80% of use of your mind, the subconscious aspect. How can that be tuned? How do you use your conscious mind in order to train your subconscious mind? And that again takes experience, and it takes taking all the knowledge that you study, the information we give you, plus other information you collect, only through experience, and putting it all together so it settles in and you notice an awareness that you might not have had. And the environment. You're in an environment, whether it's in a room or it's in a club or it's in your living room. How do you use your environment or it's out in the field after a battle? All these things. How do you use your full environment to better improve the collection of information from the subject? And then situational. Where are you? What's happened? What's the occurrence? What are the tells? What are the situations that are causing a situation where you need to get information? And how to use that? And is it before, after, or is something about to happen and you want to find information? These are all talked about in the 1 hour and 15 minute full free webinar presentation when you sign up for the newsletter. And of course, we're going to be also giving a full 1 to 2 day online webinar that you'll be able to get access to when you'll get information when you sign up for the newsletter. And so I hope you enjoyed this quick intro. I hope you also enjoyed the article that went with this on being the lie detector at globalcounterterror.com. And thank you for listening, and I look forward to communicating with you on the next free webinar. So go over and sign up immediately right now. Go over to that link and fill in the form to subscribe to the newsletter, and you'll be getting notification the very next one we're having on being able to be a better operator, to be someone who's better at the field that we're in, which is in coin counterterrorism, but also just life experiences and all these tools that you're able to use in a variety of scenarios, whether in business, in your personal life, and in the military and in law enforcement. Thank you very much.